Alright, guys, welcome back to another gift talk. I'm here to discuss Star Wars The Last Jedi. Many of you are probably watching this just to laugh and scoff at my idea, but here's why I feel that they actually treated Luke Skywalker with respect and honor. Many people, I've actually read quite a few comments, like they trashed the character, they disrespected the entire genre, and pretty much everything Luke had done up to this point. Now, before I start anything, sharing my theory, sharing the reason why I feel they respected him, I want to point out that this is my opinion. It is only my opinion. Just like your opinion on how the movie was is only your opinion. It's not right, it's not wrong, same with mine. You know, I could be right, I could be wrong, but again, there's no right and wrong in our opinions. We are allowed to think the way we do because it is freedom of speech. Now, I am accepting that most of you will not appreciate what I'm going to say. Freedom of speech means that you take along with the consequences, so I understand that there's going to be hate. I understand there's going to be people who will just absolutely trash what I am saying. I'm okay with this. But I feel that I need to share my opinion and my theory with you, and hopefully maybe just see if you think it has any, solidity. So here's what we know about Luke Skywalker. He started out as a humble farm boy with the help of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who trained him a little, ended up destroying the Death Star. That was the New Hope. In Empire Strikes Back, he gets a little more training, and he ends up meeting Yoda, and Yoda tries to help him. Well, in The Empire Strikes Back, he has a vision that Han and Leia are going to be tortured and hurt, possibly killed. Uncertain. The future is, as Yoda would say. That he needed to focus on his here and his now. This comes back in The Last Jedi, but let's go back to this. At the end, he faces Darth Vader. He loses. He actually gets his hand cut off, and then he goes on, gets healed up, gets a new hand, feels that there's still good in Darth Vader, goes and helps him defeat the Emperor, and end the Empire. Now, let's flash forward to Force Awakens. Force Awakens, he has gone into hiding, unknown to us until The Last Jedi, and everybody's looking for him. Now, we'll stop here. At this point, Luke is the hero of the rebellion. He has decided that he's going to take, and all this information I'm going to present is now what we get from The Last Jedi. But he decides he's going to start a whole new Jedi Order. And he takes his nephew, who has a great amount of power, and Leia hands him over, says, here's my son, train him to be the greatest, good Jedi. Luke says, I can do it. I feel I can. Leia, seeing everything that Luke had done, hands him over. Han, as he says, is Han about the Force. And he ends up training him with a select group of small, a select group of other Jedi. Well, in this process, as both Luke and Kylo Ren tell, there is some amount of darkness that rises up in Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo in this point in time. We know that this is because of Snoke. Whether we know who he is or whether or not, he does end up, being able to get into Ben Solo's heart and starts turning it to the dark side. Luke goes and looks and senses this, and then decides to go and see whether it's true or not. He goes into Ben's hut, sees that it's true, and has a moment of weakness, says, I'm going to kill him, As soon as he flips on the lightsaber, immediate regret. Now, this is not premeditated murder. This is not, out of character. Here he is, the, hero of the rebellion, the supposedly the greatest Jedi, a Jedi master he is, and he sees darkness. He says, I'm going to change it, and I'm going to fix it and stop it before it goes on. He has a small thought. It goes in and comes out just as easy. Flips on and immediately feels regret. Now, at this point, he's ashamed of himself. He goes, what the heck am I doing? You can see it on his face. But his action, his split decision, whether he abandoned it or not, had consequences. Ben is filled full of fear and driven to the dark side. He ends up burning down the temple that Luke is using as a training ground, kills a good number of his trainees, and takes the rest to follow him on the dark side. At this point, Luke feels an extreme amount of shame, anger, self-loathing. So he decides to go away and hopefully, get his mindset straight. He goes to the old Jedi temple, sanctuary, and he tries to fix himself, but in the process, and again, this is just the way I would feel if I was Luke at this time, in the process, he ends up just falling into self-loathing. He cannot do anything but focus on the mistake he made. After that, when he feels the Republic, and again, this is just my theory, when he feels the Republic die, he closes himself off from the Force completely, thinking, I did that, that's me. That was the last, nail in the coffin. He doesn't want to live anymore. He's done. He has so much self-loathing, self-hatred, that he cuts himself off from the Force and no longer wants to live. So what's he do? He stays on that island to die. Well, along comes Rey. She has the same amount of power as Kylo Ren. He says, I wasn't scared when the first time I saw this, meaning Kylo Ren. He says, I am now. It's time for the Jedi to end. So he has so much self-hatred, so much self-loathing for himself that he uses that as a channel to hate the Force. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, he decides not to use it and talk Rey out of using it. Rey is determined. She looks for the books, finds them, and, he's still wondering what she's going to do. But Luke decides to train her. Not so that she'll be a Jedi, but simply because he wants to show her why the Jedi need to end. Now, at this part, again, he's still consumed by that self-hatred, self-loathing. So he does everything he can. He can't persuade, Rey to stop trying to be a Jedi, so he lets her go. And he decides to burn the books, do what he can, not knowing that Rey had already taken them. As we saw in the end of the movie when Finn opens up the drawer to get the blanket for Rose, we see the books there. Rey has them. So by this time, Luke is trying to burn down the tree that contains the books of the Jedi, and Yoda comes along. Now Yoda is still trying to teach Luke this lesson, to be where you are. Luke is so consumed by the past and so fearful of the future, he forgets to be where he's at. He knows from Rey that the rebellion is in a bad place. He knows that the First Order is killing everybody. He knows Han's dead, which is just another heaping coal on his heart, knowing that he had a part in that by driving Ben to the dark side. And Yoda is still trying to teach him this lesson, and hopefully he finally gets through to him. He says, mistakes are the best teachers. So here he is trying to get him back into reality, back into what he needs to do now. Well, with Rey and Chewbacca gone, they're already at, Kylo Ren's area, and where the rebellion ship is dying and running out of fuel, and his X-Wing totally destroyed, as we saw on the bottom of the lake. He is out of options. And at the last minute, he finally decides to do something. He decides to live in the now, in the here, and try to help Leia in the best way he can. Now, I'm going to stop here and remind you of something. When when Kylo Ren and Rey have that first Force vision that allows them to talk and to see each other, Kylo Ren says, "Are you doing this?" And then he kind of looks around and thinks. He says, "No, you can't be doing this. It'd kill you." Well, take that into what Luke does. He makes a vision, or he becomes one with the Force ghost or whatever, and he goes and he helps, stall Kylo Ren. But he does it in such a way that, it expends so much power. First of all, Kylo Ren and Princess Leia, or Commander Leia, General Leia, they are both Force users. They can actually sense when someone's not there or not. So Luke had to expend an amount of power for Kylo Ren to stop his entire army and focus on Luke. That means he had to make Kylo Ren feel his presence. And Leia, he actually touches her hand and gives her a set of dice that was hanging in the Millennium Falcon. This she held on to until she finally let it go. So again, he expended a great amount of force to not only to make her believe that she was actually having physical contact with him, but also to keep those dice there. Now again, this is just people who are saying, well, what do? You send a vision postcard. It wasn't like that. It took a lot of concentration. It took a lot of force, and it was literally killing him to do this. Now, at the end, he ends up fighting, Kylo Ren. This allows Princess Leia and Rey to get what's left of the rebellion off and safe, and then he disappears. The vision's over. Then it goes back to him on the island. He's sweating profusely. You can see it took a lot out of him. And he looks into the sun. And I don't know if I'm correct in this, but I thought I saw two suns. So maybe that was a reference to Tatooine or not, but I thought there was two suns, but I could be wrong. But anyway, then Luke dies. Now, here's why I feel this is actually so much respect for him. Because first of all, yes, it humanizes him. Luke, the fact that Luke made a mistake, the fact that he felt that self-loathing and all that, it took him from hero status to human status. And I think that only deepened the character, the aspect of the character, because he is human, he is flesh and blood in that universe. Yes, I know it's a TV show. Yes, I know it's a movie, but in that universe, he is just flesh and blood. He could have died, and we expected it when they first started doing these. The Force Awakens. We expected Luke to die at some point. We knew it was going to happen, and most of us, put that in our brain as he's going to die this way or he's going to die this way. I don't think anybody decided that he would die on his own terms. He would die not by a lightsaber from Kylo Ren, which, let's face it, we would have been either very not surprised at all, or we would have been very disappointed. That would have not been the way to go. We know that he, according to Snoke's words, that someone on his apprentice's level, or Kylo Ren's level, would come. That was not Luke, obviously. It had to come from Rey. So, most likely, and again, just my opinion, most likely Luke would have not beaten Kylo Ren. So, instead of doing that, they allowed him to die doing what he wanted to do, which is help his family, his friends, and the rebellion. And I don't feel this was disrespectful. I don't think it was treating the character like trash. I think it was like the best thing that could have happened because, again, I do believe that it was that humanizing that makes the character relatable, makes us love it that much more. And the fact that he went out in such a grand and great fashion, I couldn't have asked for better, me personally. So, if you guys, if you wanted him to, if there's still people who complain that, oh, he could have, he helped Darth Vader, he could have turned Kylo Ren, he could have, done this or done that. I think in some ways, why people were mad is because they were buying into his hero or legend status themselves. Yes, again, he was just flesh and blood. He had the training, he had the experience, but he's still human. He could still make mistakes, and that's why I think they were trying to remind us of. So, whether it was, the way you wanted it to go or whether it wasn't, I hope you guys can appreciate what I'm saying, because I do think it's a valid reason for why they went out the way they did, and I do think it shows Luke respect. I do think it shows the fans respect, because if he had gone out, the way most people wanted it, not only would have been predictable, but it wouldn't have felt real. It would have been that almost superhuman status. So, again, guys, just my opinion. Hopefully you won't hate me for it. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of hate in the comments, in the storyline, or in the, whatever you guys decide to use, whether it's, a video to, combat this or whatever. I'm ready to accept it, but, I had to get this off my chest because it was bothering me that people were saying they had so much that Disney was showing disrespect for Luke, when I felt that there was a different and probably another possible reason for why they were doing things. So, guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button. And as always, you've got the right to push that dislike button. Also, if you want to see more videos, I do other stuff besides just Star Wars. I do video gameplay, I do movie reviews, I do room tours, I do show some of the stuff that I buy. So, and if you want, so hit that subscribe button. Can't talk today. Hit that subscribe button if you want to. If not, that's fine. I always welcome any new subscribers. So, guys, have a good day. And remember, we're all Star Wars fans. Whether you like Porgs or Ewoks or you don't, if you think, Darth Revan is canon or not, we're all Star Wars fans, new and old. If you were there for the, first opening day of New Hope, congratulations. I particularly wasn't. I wasn't born until after Empire Strikes Back, but I've loved these things since I was, 4 years old. I appreciate everything. Being born in 81, I've loved Star Wars for a very, very long time. So, hopefully you guys can just, look for it as what it is, as being a fan and his opinion. So have a good day, guys. Bye.